this is my Ender 3 version 2, and I've had this for a year and a half, and this is my very first 3D printer. And this originally came with a glass hotbed, but I replaced it with this spring steel PEI sheet one, because the glass one is really hard to remove prints from, so this makes it a lot easier, and I like the texture of it. I've also added a CR Touch and a Raspberry Pi 02W. And I've also added these 2 blink cameras. And what I'm going to do today is upgrade this thing and make it look a lot nicer. And so let's get started. So I'm going to replace this hot end because the fans are pretty much dead on it, and the plastic where the screws go have crumbled apart, so it's done. So this is what it sounds like now. And it gets even worse when printing. So the first step is going to be to remove all of this. Just to make things easier for next time I need to do a firmware update on my printer, I just printed out the motherboard version. That way I just know which one to go for. So for this next part, I'm switching it from the standard spool holder that's just a piece of plastic the spool sits on to this new one that uses bearings, so it will be a lot smoother. So my first print didn't turn out how I expected it to go. So this is how a benchy is supposed to look like, and this is what it printed. So it's very stringy and it's under extruding a lot. So before I start doing more on it, I decided to put my Raspberry Pi back on it. So this is a 02W, and I've been using this on my printer, but I wanted to upgrade to something I could use the touchscreen and stuff on. So I've decided to use this Raspberry Pi 4. This will make it so I can control my printer off the Raspberry Pi directly, and that will save some time with things, and also I'll make this kind of more useless, I guess. And I'm also going to install Clipper on here, and from what I've seen, that's supposed to make printers go faster, so hopefully that will work, and that's supposed to make this faster, I guess, so that will be nice. So I was working on the Clipper screen thing for like 3 days, and there's hours of footage in that, and so I just could not get it to work. I put in the serial port, I figure out what the printer config file is, I put in new values and stuff. I could not get Clipper to work. It just couldn't connect with the printer for some reason, and I tried reinstalling the operating system on the Raspberry Pi multiple times, and I was using Mainsail and stuff. It just didn't work. I kind of hate Clipper now, but I guess I won't know how it works because I can't get it to work. But hopefully that will change in part 2 of this video. So let's get back in the video. For some reason on here, when I removed the QR code, I couldn't get the goo off. So I'm just going to print a cover to go over that. So I was having a lot of trouble getting this thing to print right, and I think there's now something wrong with my CR Touch, and I tried updating my printer and stuff, and it's not properly leveling. But I was able to get the bed leveled enough to do some prints. These were the failed prints. The first one did okay-ish, but I need to replace the wheels on the bed now because it's shaking a lot. And so all of these were failed prints. Then I was able to finally get one that looked good. And this is a little cover that just goes right here. And I was also using this screen cover. That way it blocks out light from the screen, and this one is good, but I found this one on Thingiverse that looked a little nicer, and this one kind of clips on in there. I also found these wheels to cover the knobs here to adjust the tension on the belts, and I just got these to make them black. And then I also got these little covers here that just go over the holes here on the Z and X axis. So I originally printed these that I found on Thingiverse, and these are just the threaded things that go on here, and they're not that, it wasn't that good because I had to glue this on and it keeps slipping, so I redesigned them a little bit. So it's just a solid piece of plastic that goes on here. So now they need to be drilled. So for the next upgrade, so I had these mini blink cameras on there, and they're alright, but they're too big. So I decided to take one apart, and I totally didn't destroy the case while doing that. So now I just have this little blank camera, and it's now missing the speaker and microphone, but this is just going to be a camera, so it doesn't need any of that. And I designed this case for it. So this just goes in here, and now we need to close it up. And now it's sealed up, and it's just going to go right here, so that way I can watch my prints here. Mainly just remotely. I don't really need a camera on my printer, but I like having a camera for when I'm away and printing something. That way I can just check on the progress of the print. So this will help with that, and it's much smaller than the original camera. And for the next upgrade, I printed out this spatula holder. So that just goes in there like that. And I was thinking of putting it on the back over there. When I need the scraper, then I just grab it from here. So for the next thing I'm going to add on my printer, I printed out all of these V-slot covers. So now I just got to start adding them. And the nice thing about these ones is that they have labels on them, on each one. So you can tell where to put each one. So on this bar, for some reason I couldn't get these plastic pieces in well. So this one I cut it off a little short, and this one just snapped off. And I don't think they're ever coming off again. So that's going to stay like that. But they're at least somewhat covered, I guess. So now I gotta reassemble this. So for the next upgrade, I printed out this little CR Touch cover, and hopefully this will be nice because I have this printer right next to my bed, and the CR Touch purple light is really bright and annoying. And I used to just cover it up with a little piece of electrical tape, but now I'm going to do it more proper. It doesn't seem to block out as much light as I hoped it to. So I might just put a piece of tape over that again, or just remake it and print it again. But we'll see how this thing does for now. So for the first upgrade, we're going to remove this. And I designed this spool holder so it holds 2 on each side, so you can have 2 spools of filament on at the same time. Now obviously you can't print multiple colors on the Ender 3. This makes it a little bit easier to change the colors on here during a print, and I tried to change the colors right in the middle of a print without pausing it, and it actually worked really well. So I also added a third screw hole here just to give it more support so it doesn't break or, well, fall over. Now it's on there. So I just printed these two, and this actually has threads on both sides. And now both of these are on, and so basically how it's going to work is that you can have 2 colors on there at the same time. Now these are different plastics, but that's what I have next to me. So if one's printing, then you can just pull it out and put the next one in, and it's super fast. So yeah. Now for the next upgrade, we're going to put an insulation pad on the bed, because this lets off a lot of heat and there's nothing on the bottom to keep that heat trapped. And so that makes it more expensive. So by putting an insulation pad on the bottom, it will make it a little bit cheaper to run and probably make it a lot faster to heat up too. And they just look like this. Hopefully I got this on properly. I have no idea, and it's making everything sticky. And now it's on. So for the next upgrade, I am going to install a filament sensor, and it's just going to go right up here. And I think this will be very useful because having the spools like this and having bearings on the rolls here is nice, but when it's like this instead of to the side, that's a very big issue because these bearings are too smooth, and so it makes the filament just go everywhere, and so then it's all tangled up all over the printer. So this should actually help with that, because the filament will just go straight through here, and it'll pull through the filament sensor into the extruder, which should stop it from just going everywhere, and it should make things a lot smoother. So now you just got to figure out how to install it on this, because it came with this. This one is technically for the Ender 3 KE and SE, but the only thing that makes it so I can't put on this printer, the cable for it, instead of just being these 3-prong cables for here and the motherboard, it came with this cable that's the 3-prong for the filament runout sensor and this 4-prong one, and I have no idea why they did that. Maybe to make it proprietary, because you can see that there's only 3 wires and that 4th one is just empty. There's no reason for that to be there. So I got this wire, and I'm either going to use this to connect it, or I'm just going to use the old Z offset cable and replace that. And that should be a lot better. So let's get started. So I designed just this little piece of plastic, and everything just screws into that. And now we can put it on there. And now we got it installed. Now, here comes the annoying part. Cables. So I tried to use this filament runout sensor. To get in, I actually found a couple stripped screws, and the only way to get them out was to Dremel them out. But I fixed that issue, and I tried this filament runout sensor. It just doesn't work on this printer. And I made sure that it's functional, and I got a new firmware on here. It's called professional firmware or whatever, and it's much better than the stock Marlin. But this one works perfectly fine on here, and this one just doesn't even turn on. It just doesn't work at all on here. I don't know if it isn't getting enough power from the printer or needs different drivers, but to make sure it doesn't work, I tested on my dad's printer that I got him a couple weeks ago, and it works perfectly fine on his printer. So I'm gonna return it and just use this one, and this one was half the price of this one anyway, so that's fine. But the only reason why I got this one was because it seemed a lot nicer than this one, and I was going to use this one on another project that will probably be finished in a couple months or something, I'm not sure. And it works perfectly fine on here, so it's going to go on here, and I'm going to get a second one of it. And this is 100% going back. It just doesn't work. So now I got it installed, and that's the filament runout sensor. So now I'm going to move on to the final upgrade for this video. And for the final upgrade, I got this big enclosure. So now I just got to put the printer in this. And really the only reason why I got it is because I want to make this slightly quieter. This is made of fabric, so it's not going to make it super quiet, but should make it a little bit quieter, hopefully. And it will probably make it a little bit more energy efficient. So let's see how it looks with it on. And there it is. It's got an enclosure now. It's obviously a bit dark in there, but part 2 will fix that. It's hard to see at all through this clear plastic, but whatever. It's nice that all the wiring and everything is on the wrong side of the enclosure, so I need more wire to put the printer in there. But other than that, seems alright. I'm gonna have to try it out more though first. And that's the end of my Ender 3 version 2 upgrade video. Part 2 probably won't be out for a couple months, maybe longer, I don't know. I have a lot of projects that I'm gonna get to eventually, and that's it. If you like this video, subscribe.